think we've given everybody time enough to get here, so I'm going to welcome you all. Welcome all those people who are new to come to World of Wildlife. So World of Wildlife started, well, about 3 years ago now, and I started it initially because people were asking questions of me and Dr. Wong, who is the hero and the subject of the books that I write. So it became initially a way for people to ask questions of both of us at the same time. And it's evolved since then to be a monthly meeting of wildlife people around the world who just share our ideas, share our passions, and now have a guest speaker every single month. That guest speaker shares something to do with wildlife around the world. And our guest speaker today is Tyrone, who's going to be talking to us about management of bats and people, pretty much. But before he does, I'll give you a bit of an update on what I've been doing. We haven't had a meeting for 2 months, so there's a little bit to go through and tell you what I've been up to, because it's been an amazing couple of months. I'm hoping that Dr. Wong will be here from the Bornean Sun Bear Conservation Centre, and he'll be able to tell you what the latest is in his Sun Bear Centre, and also his satellite centre in Tarban Wildlife Reserve, which he's now moved the second baby sun bear into this satellite area, which is in the middle of the jungle, so that they can do a rehabilitation which is not impacted by human conflict or human interaction. So that sort of will lead us to this concept that we're talking about today with Tyrone. But let me start, introduce myself to those of you who are here for the first time, and thank you very much for being here. So the books that I write are all focused on the real life adventures of Dr. Wong and his adventures in Borneo. So I started by writing Saving Sun Bears as my Doctor of Creative Arts degree. That was published in 2020. And then since then, I've written 6 children's books about his adventures with different species. Some of the people in this room, particularly Taylor, has been one of my young reviewers who reviewed one of those books and has her name in her review in one of the books. So thanks again for that, Taylor, for doing that. That's fantastic. Things that I've been doing. So over the Christmas period, I always go to the Woodford Folk Festival. It's a week-long festival of ideas, music, and activities. It's the largest folk music festival in the Southern Hemisphere. And this year I was a performer there. So I did 2 things. One was a talk to adults, which was called The Pen Can Save the World. And in that, we explored the concepts of, first we explored a timeline of books that I think have changed the way that we see the natural world, from the origin of species up to the present. And then we did a bit of a brainstorm and gathered in the audience, we gathered a really awesome list of different books that the audience felt had changed the way they saw the natural world. And lastly, I put out, I guess, a call to action so that people would write letters that could save the world. They write to these 2 politicians. Politicians, for those of you who are not in Australia, you wouldn't know that woman is Tanya Plibersek, our Environment Minister, and the man there is Anthony Albanese, our Prime Minister. They wrote letters, and I collected about 40 letters directly to these politicians. And then later you'll see what I did with them. It was fun, though. The second thing I did at Woodford Folk Festival was run one of my most popular workshops, which is called Rainforest in a Jar. So all these young people learned how a rainforest works. They learned about the circular system in a rainforest. They learned about some of the creatures that live there. And then they built a rainforest in a jar, aka a terrarium, and got to take that home with them, which was really fun. And during the week, I had 4 different workshops. We had 130 kids come through that workshop. So it was exhausting and it was absolutely amazing. Absolutely loved every second of that. From there, I headed south, and I headed south to do some research for my next book called Curious Kai. It's a Curious Kai series. Curious Kai is a young girl who goes in search of what she can learn from Australian wildlife to help her save the world. I learned a lot about koalas, and this picture I thought you would get a giggle out of, because this is a Hello Koala. Hello Koala sculptures are in Port Macquarie in New South Wales. Each one is painted by a different artist, and this one is the title of this one is I'm Not a Bear. I thought this was such an awesome thing, and I wish I could turn it around to show you the back of this koala, because it's like it's wearing a panda suit, and it's got a big zipper down its back. It's very, very cool. So if you're in Port Macquarie, you can go on a bit of a tour around Port Macquarie and surrounds looking for these different koalas. It's quite amazing. I also learned about snakes at Mulligan's Flat in the ACT. I went searching for eastern brown snakes and learning all about those. I went in search of bettongs, and actually at night with the researchers at Mulligan's Flat, which is an incredible natural reserve where they're actually trying to solve the ecosystem, put it back to the way it should be by introducing species like curlews and bettongs and New Holland mice and snakes and all sorts of other ones, quolls as well, into this area to actually get the balance the way it should be. Really interesting. I learned a great deal there. I also did a workshop there. So I did the same workshop I did at Woodford. I did the Rainforest in a Jar workshop at the Mulligan's Flat area and got some wonderful, wonderful young people involved in that one. And then I went in search of a few other species. Now this one we're going to hear later, another month we'll hear from Kathy, who runs the Australian Botanical Gardens and Seed Bank, where seeds in Australia that are in danger of extinction are saved. They're actually cryovac. They cryovac seeds, and then they also take seeds and propagate them, and they take cuttings and propagate them. One of their most amazing success stories is this tree, the Wollemi pine, which is an ancient tree which was found in one valley in the middle of the Blue Mountains inland from Sydney, and has now been saved so much that there are actually Wollemi pines planted in botanical gardens around the world, as far north as in Edinburgh and as far south as Wellington. And you can even go into your local hardware store and buy a Wollemi pine. So this is an interesting journey of how to save a species by opening it up and allowing it to be spread more widely. So really interesting story that will be part of the Curious Kai story when I get round to it. All right. I am heading next week after next. I'm heading back to Brunei, to Borneo, to Brunei. I'm going to the Jerong International School in Brunei and doing an entire week of workshops along with the students there. It's their book week, and I'll be doing workshops with every single child in their school during the entire week. So, but the most exciting thing here, I was hoping Wong would be here to share this with you, but the school, once they contacted me and secured me to come to their school for the entire week, the science department actually independently went out and secured Wong to come for an entire day to the same school. So believe it or not, there's a synchronicity happening here, is that on the Friday, Wong will be there for a day and I'll be there for a day, and we'll be doing joint presentations to the school, which is really, well, rather unprecedented. So we're kind of excited about that one.